Okay, welcome everybody to another set of BanklessDAO demos in collaboration with Fight Club. Fight Club is the venture DAO of BanklessDAO. So we look into all sorts of projects, anything that has to do with Web3, and we are looking at, potential investments, also teaching people how to invest in a smart and responsible way, democratizing crypto investment. BanklessDAO, hopefully you all know and love, we're building on ramps to decentralized finance and decentralized technologies. So just before we get started, I just want to remind everybody that none of this that you hear today or any other day is in any way advice, tax, legal, investment, or otherwise. We're just here to check out cool new products, get demos, learn new stuff, level up, and help everybody else level up while we're at it. So today we have a really cool project that is all about staking. If you've heard this word before, you might be thinking, what is staking? What do I do with staking? I have some ETH. How do I get involved with staking? These guys, Launchnodes, are here to help you figure it all out. Launchnodes provides nodes for Solo Staking, Ethereum, and RPC nodes for native access to blockchain data, specifically presynced Geth, Beacon, and Validator nodes that run in your AWS account. Launchnodes provides a range of consultancy services and workshops for businesses interested in running nodes for Solo Staking and RPC nodes. So all about staking, all about getting your nodes working to their fullest potential. Today we have, going by the handle Future Potential, also known as Rajesh from Launchnodes. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. Great introduction, and we really appreciate you hosting us here today. It's great to be part of the community and talking about what we do, so thank you.
Yeah, really great to have you.
Yes. So let me kick off with the team, essentially, because it's all about the folks who kind of kicked off this idea and how we've built it over the past couple of years for us. So Jaydeep, Yash, Peter, Andre, myself, all kind of got together about 3 years ago and decided that Ethereum in particular is going to be transformative for the world, and everything is going to change as a result of blockchain, and in particular Ethereum. And so we started our company in April 2020 with a view to making staking straightforward, accessible, democratized for people around the world. We felt that individuals could be their own bank by staking and having their own infrastructure within their own control. And that's kind of the premise of the company, very much driven by Jaydeep. Yash is our CTO. Peter, Jaydeep, myself, we've worked together for 20 plus years in different ventures and are really kind of inspired to, bring new products to market and to help people on their kind of staking and Ethereum journey, I suppose. Andre's driving our marketing efforts, and he's on this presentation as well. So really, we kind of decided we didn't want to start a neobank, financial services provider. We felt that giving people the tools for them to be successful in being part of a blockchain network and participating and staking was really what we wanted to do. And that's kind of why we started in preparation for Ethereum moving to proof of stake in December 2020. So that's kind of the history of Launchnodes, I suppose. We're very much a kind of global team, so we're spread geographically around the world. The team's grown now. We've probably got around 30 people working with us at any given time, and we are a corporate, but we're very much kind of embedded in the kind of Web3 community, and we think that our experience in Web2 and historically in kind of financial services means that we kind of understand traditional finance, but also have a view to making this stuff accessible and straightforward and easy to use for the next billion people. So that's kind of what drives us. And in terms of where we are today, we've got over 100 customers, and from every part of the world, essentially. I'll describe a little about how we sell our products, but over 70% of our customers self-serve, so we don't necessarily know who they are. But when we see the kind of geographies they're buying from, it's everywhere from, United States through to Europe, through to Asia, and some far-flung countries around the world as well. And we've seen pretty healthy growth since we started, and people stick with us generally. So we have a very low kind of churn rate, and we're on target to hit $1 million in the next 12 months in terms of recurring revenue. And our whole approach has been to make products available in cloud marketplaces and on people's own cloud environment or own data center environments. So we've known a lot of people who've kind of set up staking nodes in their houses, in their basements, run them for a while in the same way that a lot of people mined for Bitcoin or for Ethereum in the early days. Thinking, okay, we need to have a hardened environment from a we don't want to be kind of monitoring this stuff 24/7. We don't want to be concerned about slashing risks. So increasingly, individuals and institutions are hosting in the cloud or in privately owned data centers that they have access to. So we're in Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, Azure. We're recently brought onto the Tencent marketplace. But again, bare metal data centers are great as well. So we're kind of supporting customers there too. And I think everyone on this call is probably well aware of the kind of roller coaster ride that crypto and blockchain's been on in the last kind of few months, certainly. But what's great is if you look at Ethereum staking, it just keeps going from strength to strength. There was a lot of talk about, will staking numbers fall off after Shanghai? But no, we had a really successful kind of Shanghai transition, and there was a tiny dip of people taking some validators offline, but then we're back in the ascendancy and people continuing to want to stake, which is great, and it kind of adds to the health of the network, which is fantastic. So you kind of opened up with, if you want to know what staking's all about, very simply, in order to support a proof of stake network like Ethereum, people who run nodes receive a reward for making that network available. So by pledging your Ethereum, and if you want to run a whole Ethereum node, you can pledge 32 Ethereum. You then get rewards for running that node and providing kind of network security, essentially. And it's a growing market, so it's probably quadrupled over the last couple of years to, it's now, I think, a $92 billion global market. And Ethereum, as I say, is our mainstay, but we also support a range of other blockchains, all of the kind of top kind of proof of stake blockchains as well. And really lots of different options if you do want to stake. So everyone can go to a Coinbase or historically to a Kraken and just say, I want to stake my ETH. And if you've got a small amount of ETH, that's perfect. It's very simple. The user interface is very straightforward. But again, it's centralized and you don't necessarily see all of the rewards. You're typically handing over 20% of your rewards to a third party. Liquid staking, everyone knows about Rocket Pool and Lido. And again, they're fantastic. Again, if you've got less than 32 ETH, and you want to be in and out very quickly, or you want that kind of simple interface again, then they can be great solutions as well. The next kind of type of staking is a staking as a service provider, and there are a range of these out there as well. And essentially, they often take custody or partial custody of your money or your digital assets and provide nodes in their environment and their nodes for you to stake on. So you often have to give up your digital assets or give up part of your keys. You're not necessarily in control of what version of software you're running, what software clients you're running, what geographies you're in, what the architecture looks like, what the security measures are. So again, it can be straightforward and easy, but there's some level of kind of loss of custody there and loss of control of the decision making. Do you want to run MEV? Don't you want to run MEV? Those types of decisions. And if you talk to the Ethereum Foundation, their gold standard is what's called solo staking, which initially sounds like staking by yourself as an individual. It actually is true of institutions and global players. Solo staking is essentially taking full control of your staking operation. So you keep 100% of the rewards, you never give up your keys, you never give up your mnemonics. It's your own architecture, so you get to choose, do I use a prismatic client? Do I use a lighthouse client? How many nodes am I going to run in different geographies? Am I going to use MEV or other relays? All of those decisions are yours. And the beauty of that is you're in control at all times. It helps to decentralize the network because with all of the other options, you're putting a lot of Ethereum or Ether onto a particular centralized player, and that's not a great thing. Whereas with our approach, we're not a staking as a service provider. What we do is give people the tools to be solo stakers themselves, which is our whole motivation and reason for being, I suppose. The flip side to that is technical complexity increases the further away you get from a centralized exchange. So the user interface is harder, you have to do some work, or you have to use professional services to do some work on your behalf. But again, with solo staking, you keep all the rewards, you don't share anything, you're never giving away your powerful and optimal way to stake from our perspective, if you have the means to do that, and if you have the 32 Ethereum. And as mentioned, some of our kind of high net worth clients have come to us essentially because they were running servers themselves and found the pain of that and the need to kind of do version updates and maintain security on those boxes was something that they didn't kind of want to do long term, which is why from the outset we've planned to launch all of our products into cloud marketplaces. So you can go to Google Cloud, you can go to AWS, you can say to us, we want to use this particular data center over here, whether that's OVH or Equinix or any of the others, and we'll happily help you set up your staking operation, whether that's for one node or 1,000 nodes. And that's why we exist, I guess, is to kind of streamline that whole operation. And what you'll find with Launchnodes as opposed to other players is we make every aspect of your staking infrastructure a Lego brick, as it were, or so it's all very flexible, it's all very configurable, depending on what you want to do. So we've got clients who've decided they want to use the prismatic Ethereum Validator client. We've got others who've said they want to use Teku. They want to run beacon nodes in different geographies. They want to have architectural differences for security reasons. All of that is possible with our tool set. And if you were to ask an exchange, what's your staking client, they simply wouldn't know, or wouldn't want to tell you, I suppose. Whereas with us, every aspect of your staking infrastructure, and it is your staking infrastructure, can be configured exactly how you want it to be in a very straightforward way.
So it's very composable. Jairus James in the audience asks, so he can set up his staking operation with a decentralized cloud like a cash network. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. So, and again, all of those decisions are kind of down to the individual clients. Moving on to the next slide. So, I mean, you can see this now. It's the reason why I'm not showing you launching a node and running the node in real time is because the user interface is very simple. It's the Google Cloud user interface, or it's the AWS interface, where you can simply go along, choose a particular product that you'd like to use, whether that's a Geth node or a Validator node for Ethereum, or similar products on AWS, or sorry, on Tencent or Google Cloud. And if you were really advanced and wanted to, you could run some infrastructure on AWS, other infrastructure in your own home or in another data center, and all of that's possible essentially.
Got it.
So, and let me pause for breath there. I just wonder if there are any questions at this point, or anyone wants to know anything further before I move on.
Okay, yeah, I'll keep monitoring the chat for questions, and I'll just keep piling my questions up in the notes here.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. So, okay, who are our customers? So you'll hear a little about a couple of them as we move into the impact staking piece of this demonstration. But we work with governments globally. We work with some of the world's leading multilaterals organizations. We also provide services to BTCS, which is one of the world's first kind of dedicated crypto staking operations, which is a NASDAQ listed company. And then we've got a whole range of other kind of family offices, high net worth individuals, hedge funds, exchanges, staking as a service providers that also use our services. And we're sometimes the behind the scenes guys for services that you'd know and love. So services that you may well have used already, we might be behind the scenes providing backup nodes or other services to these guys. So we're quite happy kind of and making it available to exchanges and to other providers essentially. And I think one of the kind of latest things we've made available is rocket pool nodes essentially. So if you want to be a rocket pool operator, you can come to us and buy that service very straightforwardly. And sorry, let me just flip back. So I'm conscious that your audience has a great number of kind of investment heads and VCs involved. So I just wanted to kind of summarize, we are looking for capital, and not immediately necessarily, but certainly over the next few months, and happy to kind of open up a dialogue. I'll share these slides after the session, but in essence, this is Launchnodes on the page in terms of who we are and how we've grown. And we've kind of been self-financed for the first couple of years, then took on some seed capital, and since kind of Shanghai, we've seen a massive uptick in people interested in staking, people wanting to move away from exchanges because they're slightly worried about what the SEC might be doing, and they're worried that custodial solutions aren't necessarily as robust as they'd like them to be. So we're seeing a huge kind of uptick in enthusiasm for staking, but also for the approach that we've always kind of preferred, which is solo staking essentially. Another topic I kind of wanted to touch on was impact staking, which is part of our DNA as a business, and we've been doing this since we launched essentially. So one of the first things we did was to take staking rewards from one of our nodes and provide laptops and IT equipment to save the children where they were using it for some of their projects. And we did a great project which was showcased in Bogota late last year with UNICEF, Giga, the Ethereum, and the government of Rwanda, where essentially we took rewards and are using those in schools. And from start to finish, we kind of went through the whole process with the government of Rwanda. The Ethereum Foundation were kind enough to kind of support the project, and it's a proven model now for big kind of causes to take staking rewards and apply them to projects. And we're seeing a lot of attention and interest from people and causes around the world, including people like Give Directly, Save the Children I've mentioned. We've got a working party that's focused on how do we bring staking rewards to the masses in terms of dealing with inequality, dealing with climate change, dealing with infrastructure projects which need support around the world. And I think it's great to be involved in this because a lot of the shine on crypto has been Lamborghinis and people flexing, and actually and blockchain can absolutely change lives. So a cause very dear to our heart, very much kind of sponsored by JD and Peter in our team. And again, it's changing lives, and we're lucky to have been part of this, working with people like UNICEF and others. And we're hoping to grow this over time. So
Fantastic.
Yeah,
I just want to touch on that quickly because that's a recurring theme around not just the ETH community, but all over in Web3, people are trying to figure out how to use their money for good. And the main difference that I've seen from the TradFi perspective to the DeFi perspective is oftentimes TradFi are gearing their charitable donations just for the tax benefit, right? That's the main thing, set it up for a tax benefit. But in DeFi, people are giving anonymously, right? They're buying. I saw one yesterday. Somebody from I forget the name of the DAO. They were in a third world country. There were about 40 kids who had no shoes, and an anonymous person sent like 300 pairs of shoes. And it's like that sort of stuff you don't see in the traditional world. So
absolutely,
being able to build in these charitable distribution mechanisms is really great.
Absolutely, and we've seen a lot of that, and we see a lot of people who have been very successful over the past few years with crypto, wanting to kind of give back in a major way. And the other beauty of this approach is you don't actually have to donate your money necessarily. You can say, I'm going to stake, several thousand ETH, and the rewards can go to this good cause over here. I believe that Ethereum's price is going to increase over time, and I can take my money off the nodes eventually, but in the meantime all the staking rewards can go to building a school or providing clean water or numerous other projects and worthy causes around the world. So something, we've got an ambition to turn that into a $500 million program in the next few years, which is a fairly significant ask, but we're working with some major partners who really want that to happen. And on the point of tax efficiency, there's no reason why this couldn't be equally tax efficient. So it's still a charitable donation at the end of the day. So it is beautiful that people are donating very anonymously and not looking for fame and glory. But at the same time, there's no reason why this can't be equally as tax efficient as cutting a check from a foundation and writing off the tax benefits.
Exactly. Nice. So in terms of your project specifically, so Launchnodes as a company, what is your profit model? What do you get from this?
Great question. So we charge a subscription fee for access to kind of our images of different nodes. So if you wanted to run a Teku validator node, for example, I think we charge $20 a month for you to have access to that node. And given that it is quite complicated to do that, and given that your staking rewards are likely to be $2,000 a year, most of our customers find that a pretty straightforward decision to make, essentially. Other players in this space tend to say we'll take 20% of your staking rewards, or a certain cut of the rewards that you generate. That's not our model. We want to provide software, we want to provide services, and we charge a pretty transparent fixed rate for those typically.
Got it. Okay, so an example would be earning two grand a month, and you're gonna be paying 20 per month. Is it? Did you say 2 grand per month or per year?
Two grand per year,
Per year.
with
Okay.
a $20 per month type number.
Okay, so $240 to access the nodes, and that's far less than 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, nice. And so, what other profitable services besides access to nodes do you offer?
So there are customers who actually want a very kind of quiet existence and don't want to touch their nodes, but they also want the nodes to belong to them. So we provide a kind of full concierge service for those customers, and a range of kind of professional services to corporates who want to get into this space. So, we've had kind of financial organizations come to us and say, in the same way that we outsource our email to Google, can you guys look after our staking operation? We'd like to run nodes, but we're not sure how. So we'll be their kind of behind the scenes staking operation and run everything on their behalf. As I say, without taking custody, which isn't something that we do.
Okay, perfect. So returns on running a node are roughly 2 grand per year. Other incentives, what are some other incentives for people? I think before you were talking about if you complete the block, then you get a reward for that. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So the rewards break down into two aspects. One is the consensus layer rewards, which are given to you for providing that service of running the network, and the other are execution layer rewards. And combined, it varies, and some people are extremely lucky with the execution layer rewards, but combined it could be up to sort of 10% per year of your staked ETH that comes to you as a reward. And figures vary, and rewards vary, but typically it's somewhere between sort of 4% and 10%, I'd say. And that two grand figure is a very loose one. It very much depends on your setup, and whether you've got. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, excellent. Nice. So this kind of brings to mind, you're providing this service. Something we've all heard of before is slashing. How does that work? How can your customers avoid slashing? Is that something that you help them with, or is that? But to be honest, I don't know exactly why people would be slashed if they're not doing something malicious.
Yeah. So you're absolutely right. Doing something malicious will tend to get you slashed, but the main reason people have been slashed in the past is they've had some quirky setup with their nodes where two nodes are trying to validate blocks simultaneously with exactly the same address, and that essentially causes conflict on the network, and people are penalized for doing that. So and there have been some recent instances of that with some of the staking as a service providers where they've had backup nodes come up in outage periods, and you've essentially got two sets of nodes running with exactly the same credentials, which would cause a slashing event. So the beauty is entirely with solo staking, you're in control of which nodes you're running. So as long as you don't do anything stupid, you simply have to have one with one with one key, and you won't be slashed essentially. And I don't think we've ever had a slashing incident, because our customers, and we support our customers in only running one node at a time with a given set of credentials.
Okay, perfect. So you guys are setting up the system so it doesn't break for the users.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay. So you support ETH. I believe you support Polygon. What other chains do you support?
So I'm going to struggle to remember them all now, but let me give you a flavour. So we support
Okay,
Carver. We
let me
support
count the
Carver.
ways.
Yeah. If, if you look at any of the top sort of 20 proof of stake blockchains, we're running nodes for them. Everything from Cardano to Polygon to Avalanche to you name it. We've got nodes running, and they're not necessarily on web marketplaces, but we've had customers come to us and say, we'd like to run these nodes, please. And we've kind of helped them set that infrastructure up, and we're running those nodes on their behalf.
Mm-hmm. Your branding leans very heavily towards Ethereum.
Yeah.
And many of us here are ETH maxis. I know the Bankless HQ guys are definitely ETH maxis. Do you have any chains that you recommend against or would sort of steer people away from if they weren't specifically looking for that chain? Maybe part of your advisory service where you say, well, that chain might not be the best for what you're trying to do. So obviously Solana has stopped, other chains have been stopped, and I would imagine at those points in times, node validators are not earning any money, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we often have kind of internal discussions around which chains to support and which not to support. And a lot of that hinges on the quality of the development community and the quality of the documentation and the frequency of version updates, and on all those counts, and actual practicality and usability of those chains. Like, what is the practical use case for different blockchains? And our view, as you can guess from the logo, is, Ethereum wins hands down on all fronts. There are good use cases from other chains, particularly like the level 2 chains on Ethereum. Lots of good reasons for using those. But outside of those top 15 chains, there are a lot of flaky chains out there that we wouldn't want to touch. And as I say, if they're outside the top sort of 15 by market cap, 15, 20 by market cap, we probably wouldn't go there, just because supporting nodes for those chains, when you have to delve into the depths of Discord and you have to kind of find contact details for the chief Yoda for different blockchains is really difficult. And we're all about not only making chains reliable and straightforward to run, but not landing our clients in any kind of trouble. So yeah, we're pretty cautious about what we do there.
Right. So it depends not just on their market cap, but also on their documentation, their standards, their community, their guidelines, and how easy that might be for you to deal with them. That makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, there have been in particular a lot of chains where the APYs were through the roof and they were super tempting for customers, and we've had customers saying, we'd love you to be running these nodes for us. From a commercial perspective and from a reputation perspective, we've just got to be super careful about who we work with and who we support.
Makes sense. Nice. Okay. Did you have some more slides there? I hope I didn't cut you off.
No. I think that's largely it. I wanted to kind of give ample time for discussion. I know that Jaydeep, who's Edrock in the audience, is here as well. Our CTO and CMO are here also. I don't know if you wanted to make Jaydeep a speaker also.
Yeah,
he's Edrock in the audience.
okay.
He may well have an additional kind of perspective.
Yeah, I'm going to invite you up here, Edrock. We've got Nishu in the audience. He just dropped out, but there's Nishu again. He's going to be presenting, or they, sorry, I don't know if you're he or she. So they will be presenting in about 5 minutes or so for their project DAO Struct. So we'll bear that in mind time-wise. But Edrock, great to have you on stage.
Thank you very much. And Rajesh, thanks for doing such a great job whilst I was struggling with connectivity. I think the only thing I wanted to sort of reiterate is that solo staking decentralizes Ethereum by having infrastructure that every individual or pool of capital owns, and I think that's really important. And in the context of impact staking, Rajesh is right. It really is in our DNA, because we see staking as this kind of money pipe whereby a fixed pool of capital generates a return in perpetuity, which is a fantastic way to fund long-term problems that need that funding. And I think one of the things that we've been doing in the impact staking space is explaining that staking is not a Ponzi scheme, that it's actual operational work that is done in the context of updating everyone's copy of the database for validating transactions and securing the network. And for doing that work, albeit automated and albeit with 32 Ethereum connected on, you are paid. And as the network grows, the opportunity for that work and the profitability of that work increases. And I think that connecting that into connecting schools, supporting refugee camps, and direct cash transfers is really important. And it's where blockchain meets the real world, and we're very passionate about that.
That's great to hear. Yeah, it is revolutionary, and it's banking for the world, right? It's allowing people to validate their own transactions in a decentralized manner, and it is changing the world. So yeah, kudos to you and the team for sure.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, 100%. Great to have you here. Unfortunately, we can't really dig into the financial raise portion. That is for anybody who is in Fight Club here in the crowd, or anybody who's listening. If that's the type of stuff you want to dive into, investing in projects like this specifically, come join us in Fight Club, because that's where we get to jump into all the juicy details in terms of investment opportunities. So yeah, it's great to hear that you're raising, and hopefully within Fight Club we can help you out there. So just looking at that slide that you had up regarding investment opportunity, there's a ton of information on there. So some of the reasons why you stand out, what you do, your goal, etc. But what would you say is the main standout feature of Launchnodes? What is it that sets you apart from your competitors?
We enable our clients to solo stake, and that means doing it on infrastructure that they own and only they have access to. And staking as a service providers and exchanges and the other solutions in the marketplace have traded the user experience, which I think is better in those solutions, for the health of the network and the control that people need by having nodes run on infrastructure that only they own and only they have access to. And it gives them so much more potential as the Ethereum network evolves, and the opportunities for earning through things like Eigenlayer. But also, I think it's only a matter of time before forward financing earnings for nodes will be a service that's available, securitization, and kind of also there being a secondary market. All of these kinds of services and functions are only available if you natively own the node that you're running on. It's not, we are not a platform, we're an orchestration layer, and that's the big difference.
Well said. Excellent. Okay, not a platform, you're an orchestration layer. I love it. Sweet. Okay, well, one last chance for any other questions from the audience members out there. While we're waiting for that, I just want to remind everybody that this has not been financial advice. We're not financial advisors, not tax or investment advice. None of this is advice. We're just filling everybody in on cool stuff that's being built in Web3, and Launchnodes is certainly part of that. So I don't see anybody typing, don't see any hands up. I think we've pretty much wrapped up the Q&A side of things. If anybody wants to get in touch with the team at Launchnodes, if someone wants to either work with your team, they have a charity that they would like to be, they would like support from you, or preferably if they have 32 ETH and they want to stake that, how do they get in touch with you?
Through Twitter, Discord, any means necessary. Rajesh, what would you say to that? You've mastered Discord. You started this work. Yeah.
Launchnodes.com is like I said, share for to hear from you.
I think Rajesh is having some connection issues today, but there's some information on the slide there. Launchnodes.com. Reach out to Rajesh directly on his email, which is there, rajesh.sina@launchnodes.com. They're available on Twitter and many other places. So yeah, if you're interested, please reach out and tell them that BanklessDAO sent you. Thanks so much for joining us, Launchnodes team. I really love what you're doing, and you're building a beautiful orchestration layer.
Thank you very much for having us.
Okay. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.